What if I told you that the biggest enemy of your marriage isn't infidelity, a lack of money, or the daily grind, but a simple, almost banal phrase you say in the kitchen while thinking you're helping? It's shocking, I know, but the truth is, couples don't split up because of huge disasters. They disconnect in the small trenches of everyday life, victims of a silent and devastating mechanism, defensiveness. Many of you live walking on eggshells inside your own homes, feeling like any comment turns into World War III. You try to give advice and get a stone thrown back at you. Why does this happen? The answer is counterintuitive. It's not about what you say, it's about where your words land. Today, I'm going to show you how to identify and disarm these emotional triggers before they blow up everything you've built. In this video, we're going to dissect the story of a common couple, Eric and Jennifer, who watched a romantic dinner turn into chaos because of onions. Sounds ridiculous? Maybe, but I guarantee you'll see yourself in this story. If you want to stop fighting over nonsense and achieve the emotional maturity that bulletproofs a relationship, stay with me until the end. What you're going to learn here is the master key to restoring that lost connection and transforming your home into a place of peace, not a battlefield. Have you ever stopped to think why a defensive attitude pops up so fast, almost like an automatic reflex? This isn't new, it's in our nature, and we even see it in the Bible, like when Job snapped back at his friends, or when King Saul made up lame excuses to the prophet Samuel. It's that instinct for protection screaming inside us, but if we're not careful, it ends up pushing away the people we love most, out of pure pride or fear of being wrong. The truth is, real maturity in a relationship arrives when we realize we don't need to win every battle, especially not against our partner. When we act with defensiveness, we raise an invisible wall that blocks any chance of deep connection between the couple. It's like trying to give a warm hug while wearing a suit of steel armor. Sure, you protect yourself, but you also don't feel the other person's warmth and end up isolated in your own righteousness. To break this vicious cycle, we need to identify our emotional triggers before they fire and cause damage. A golden tip is to invest in reading books like Daniel Goleman's Emotional Intelligence, which teaches us not to get hijacked by these primitive and impulsive reactions. By understanding how the mind works, you gain the power to take a deep breath and choose a better response than that sharp comeback that was on the tip of your tongue. Think of this as daily humility training, replacing "I am right" with "we are in this together." Small changes in how you speak, and especially how you listen, prevent a simple spark from turning into a forest fire at home. And don't be fooled, because these patience tests happen in the most banal moments, when your guard is down and you least expect it. Speaking of banal moments turning into huge messes out of nowhere, I want you to visualize a classic scene right now. Imagine a couple in the kitchen, making dinner, a moment that should be about peace and partnership, but suddenly turns into the stage for a conflict that I'm sure many of you will recognize immediately. Let's bring this to reality with a practical example that could happen today in your own home. Imagine Eric and Jennifer in the kitchen, that smell of homemade food in the air, cooking dinner together. At first glance, it looks like the perfect scenario of connection and partnership, doesn't it? Eric is chopping onions, and Jennifer is watching the pan with oil, a synchronized dance every couple knows well. But life happens in the details, and that's where things changed in the blink of an eye. Eric stepped away just for a bit to adjust the radio, wanting a soundtrack for the moment, and Jennifer, being proactive, threw the onions into the hot oil. A simple, everyday action that shouldn't cause any problem, right? This is where we need the maturity to understand the intention of an action is not always received the way we expect. When Eric comes back and sees the onions already frying, he drops that phrase which, depending on the day, is a literal minefield. "Look, there's a better way to do that." He didn't yell, he didn't curse, he just wanted to give a tip about the dish he considers his specialty. But notice the subtlety. For him, it was technical advice. To the ear receiving it, it can sound like a veiled criticism of the other person's capability. It's amazing how a lack of tact can trigger defensiveness instantly, turning a leisure moment into an arm wrestling match. We often say the road to hell is paved with good intentions, and in marriage, this is very real. If we aren't careful with our tone and timing, what was meant to be help becomes a personal offense, and those sleeping emotional triggers wake up with full force. The vibe in the kitchen, which was light and nice, suddenly gets heavy. You could almost cut it with the knife Eric was using. His phrase hung in the air, and Jennifer stopped what she was doing. The silence preceding her response is deafening, and it's exactly in this silence that her mind processes what she just heard, preparing a reaction that goes way beyond onions. Jennifer's response came fast and sharp as an arrow. Notice how the argument jumped instantly from onions to his personality. This is exactly how defensiveness operates. It doesn't want to solve the practical problem of the pan, it wants to protect the ego that felt attacked, shifting the focus and amplifying the conflict. Eric, in an attempt to justify himself, ended up throwing more fuel on the fire by saying, "I just thought you wanted my advice. You know this dish is my specialty." He tried to use logic, but in a moment of high emotional tension, cold logic sounds like arrogance. He lacked that essential maturity to read the room and realize that his wife, in that instant, didn't need a chef but a partner. The inevitable result was the total breakdown of connection in that moment. Jennifer, feeling invalidated, snapped, "Then cook your special meal yourself," and stormed out of the kitchen. Dinner was over before it started. It's painful to see how a night that had everything to be pleasant falls apart because of a miscalculated exchange of words, where both leave hurt and isolated. Can you identify where the communication failed? It wasn't in the act of cooking, it was in the interpretation of intentions. A comment was received as an attack, generating an immediate counterattack. For those who want to avoid this pattern, Marshall Rosenberg's book, Nonviolent Communication, is a must-read, as it teaches you to hear the need behind the shout, instead of taking everything personally. But here's the catch that many couples miss. Jennifer's explosive reaction wasn't just about that isolated moment in the kitchen. Eric's comment, unintentionally, touched on something much deeper and older, activating emotional triggers that were hiding just beneath the surface, ready to be detonated. What we saw in that kitchen wasn't a simple culinary argument, but a real emotional accident. Eric's words hit a raw nerve in Jennifer, a sensitive area that had been sore for a while. She already felt he was trying to control her life too much, and that innocent tip was the last straw. Her defensive attitude emerged not because of the onions, but as a shield against what she felt was yet another attempt to dominate her choices. We all carry these internal minefields, sensitive areas we often don't even know exist until someone steps on them hard. It could be an insecurity about intelligence, looks, or fear of rejection. These are our blind spots. When a partner touches these points, even unintentionally, our emotional triggers sound an immediate danger alarm. The explosive reaction is usually disproportionate to the present fact because, in truth, it's an accumulated response to an old pain that got reactivated. This is where maturity makes all the difference. Understanding that often your partner isn't fighting against you, but protecting themselves from an internal insecurity. If Eric knew that autonomy was a non-negotiable value for Jennifer, maybe he would have acted differently. To keep the connection strong, it's vital to map these mutual danger zones. You need to become experts on each other, knowing exactly where to tread lightly so you don't set off an unnecessary emotional bomb. An excellent practice to discover these points is what I call a conflict autopsy, always done in peacetime. Sit down in a calm moment and ask, what exactly in what I said made you feel disrespected that day? Investigating the root of the pain helps disarm the defense mechanism. Readings on vulnerability, like Brené Brown's works, are powerful tools to help you have the courage to expose these weaknesses without fear of judgment. By doing this deep diagnosis, we stop seeing the other as an enemy and start seeing a human being who also has wounds to protect. Defensiveness loses its power when understanding and empathy enter the scene, changing the game. But identifying the problem is only half the solution. True transformation happens when we learn to ask the right questions at crunch time, turning the tables in our favor. The escape from this emotional maze isn't magic. It's technique and requires intention. Instead of reacting on autopilot, stop the ball on your chest and ask yourselves the right questions. When confronted, ask, what is my defensive attitude trying to teach me about myself? It's a tremendous exercise in maturity to look inward and recognize your own responsibility before pointing a finger at the other. When the dust settles, do an honest analysis of the scenario. Eric could reflect, what exactly in my words activated her emotional triggers? And Jennifer, why did I feel so threatened and controlled by a simple observation about cooking? This self-analysis transforms the battlefield into a classroom where you learn to defuse bombs before they explode again in the future. To apply this practically and consistently, I suggest you adopt the rescue time rule. When you feel your blood boiling, ask for 20 minutes technical timeout to answer these questions internally before resuming the conversation. John Gottman's book, The 7 Principles for Making Marriage Work, is an excellent compass and scientifically grounded for learning these repair and dialogue strategies. By assuming this investigative and humble stance, you stop fighting against each other and start fighting together for the health of the relationship. You stop being hostages to momentary impulses and become the architects of your own marital happiness. That's how defensiveness loses space to understanding and empathy, allowing you to deal positively with any issue that arises. Mastering this art doesn't just serve to avoid silly fights, but to build an unshakable fortress between you two. When you learn to decode these reactions, the connection becomes so deep and resilient that no burnt onion or misplaced word can shake the structure you've built. And it's exactly this emotional solidity that sustains love in the long run, isn't it? Now the ball is in your court. Knowledge without practice is just dead weight in the mind. So I ask you, are you going to keep living like two armed strangers inside the same house? Or will you have the courage to lower your guard? The next time a defensive attitude wants to take control, remember that connection is worth much more than being right. I challenge you to take the test today, trade criticism for curiosity, and watch the magic happen. But don't stop here. Solving fights is just the basics. The next level is transforming your partnership into a machine for making dreams come true and pleasure. Speaking of which, there is a shocking link between how you divide household chores and the quality of your intimate life. It's something about teamwork that almost no one tells you, but it changes the game completely between four walls. I've left that video highlighted here on the screen right now. It reveals how harmony in routine, believe it or not, can be the trigger missing to reignite a flame that might be dim. If you want to understand how cooperation leaves the living room and ends up in the bedroom, click and watch now. And of course, if this content opened your eyes, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. We are building a community of couples who don't accept average, and I want you on this journey towards full maturity. See you in the next video.